Greetings, super citizen. Uncle Palm J has an awesome treat for my history buffs, especially those of you who are Africana Studies major like me. So sit back, and if you smoke that sticky icky, drink that Uncle Nearest whiskey, and or do any other stuff to get you relaxed and in the zone to help you stay focused, go ahead and do your thing. Now, before we step foot on Greenwood Avenue, before we look at the murals, the museum, and the powerful art that still speaks today, we have to pause and remember what happened here in Tulsa in 1921. Black Wall Street, the Greenwood district, wasn't just a neighborhood. It was one of the most prosperous black communities in America. They called it the Roaring Twenties, and here, black doctors, lawyers, business owners, and families built something that proved resilience, pride, and possibility. But in just 2 days, a white mob of racist, jealous, hateful, and envious people came and burned it right to the ground. White mobs, supported by local authorities, killed hundreds of black residents and destroyed over 35 blocks of homes and businesses. It was one of the worst acts of racial violence in American history, and yet for decades it was hidden, unspoken, conveniently left out of history books. And Tulsa wasn't alone. Cities like Rosewood, Florida, Elaine, Arkansas, Wilmington, North Carolina, even parts of Chicago, across America, thriving black communities faced violence whenever their success challenged the myth of white supremacy. So when you see these murals, when you walk through the museum, and when you hear voices like James Baldwin echoing through the art, remember, you're not just looking at history. You're standing in a space that represents both the tragedy and the unbreakable spirit of Black America. Even up to this day, yes. There are at least 2 known living survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, Viola Fletcher and Leslie Benningfield Randall. Both are over 100 years old and are the central figures in ongoing efforts to seek justice and reparations for the massacre and its lasting impacts on the Greenwood community. Fletcher and Randall, along with the estate of their late brother, Hughes Van Ellis, who also survived the massacre, filed a lawsuit against the city of Tulsa, seeking reparations for the lasting harm caused by the massacre. The Oklahoma Supreme Court, however, rejected the survivors' lawsuit in 2024, dealing a blow to their hopes for financial recompense from the city and state. Despite the legal setback, descendants, attorneys, and community members continue to advocate for justice and seek to rebuild the Greenwood community, building on the legacy of survivors like Fletcher and Randall. As you watch this video content of the tour on Black Wall Street, Greenwood District, and of the museum visit, you will also find lots of other interesting and intimate details regarding the massacre that most folks never talk about or haven't even heard of. There were reports by federal and state governments confirming that various levels of U.S. government, including state and local, were complicit in the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. A 2025 Department of Justice DOJ review described the event as a coordinated military-style attack and laid bare the official government role in the slaughter. Key examples of government complicity include arming white rioters. The Tulsa Police Department deputized and armed hundreds of white residents, many of whom had been agitating for violence, effectively swelling the ranks of the white mob. Disarming black residents. During and after the attack, law enforcement officers and National Guardsmen systematically disarmed black residents, confiscating their weapons and leaving them defenseless against the mob. Active participation in violence. Federal investigators found credible reports that some law enforcement officers participated directly in the murder, arson, and looting of the Greenwood district. Aerial assault. While the federal DOJ report does not mention aerial bombing, other sources cite credible reports that civilian and police airplanes were used to drop incendiary devices on Greenwood, making it the first American city to experience such an assault. Roundups and detentions. The Oklahoma National Guard rounded up thousands of black residents, detaining them in makeshift camps under armed guard. They were only released upon being vouched for by a white employer. Think being a refugee in your own country. That was the reason for the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. working hours known as the 9 to 5. That is also where the term sundown town comes from as well. Black people had from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to go and come back from work, and they had to leave all white areas before the sun goes down to avoid being murdered by racist white people, obstructing rebuilding efforts. After the massacre, Tulsa city officials deliberately obstructed efforts to rebuild Greenwood. They imposed harsh new fire codes that prevented residents from reconstructing their homes and businesses. No, insurance companies did not reimburse most victims of the Tulsa Race Massacre. All but one of the damage claims filed by Black residents were denied, and the prevailing designation of the event as a riot instead of a massacre was an attempt to avoid payouts. The destruction of the prosperous Greenwood district left survivors and their descendants in poverty, with promises of rebuilding from elected officials being broken and the city and state failing to provide compensation for over a century. Cover-up and lack of accountability. For decades, the U.S. government failed to fully acknowledge or investigate its role in the massacre. An informal federal review conducted shortly after the event was not seriously pursued, and an early report incorrectly blamed Black men for inciting the violence. The 2025 DOJ report finally provided a full accounting, but concluded that no prosecution is possible due to the expired statute of limitations. I hope you enjoyed the content and learned something from it. Do you think Oklahoma government was wrong for not giving the victims of Tulsa, Greenwood District descendants any reparations? They face a slew of problems and injustices, especially when the United States government helped and assisted by allowing the dropping of bombs over an American city. What do you think? Drop a comment and share your thoughts. I really want to know. Thanks for watching.
People participated in sports there. Yeah, they had to live just outside of Norman, Oklahoma, so they could go there to go to school, but they had to be gone before dark. That's actually where 9 to 5s come from. It was for people of color because you could not be in these areas after dark. So by 9 a.m. the sun is up, and if you're gone before 5 p.m. you still got sunlight. So that's what was taking place in Oklahoma. It was a Sooner.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna give it a guess. Was supposed to be the brand new people coming into this land trying to like discover something new. Like
that's the way it's worded in the books. Okay. What Sooner is actually a person who crossed over into Oklahoma too soon. So the land run says it starts April 12th, 1889 at noon. Sooners came into Oklahoma early and took land that used to belong to Black and Native American people.
Get it. If I want it, then I go get it. Yeah, no limit. If I want it, then I go get it. Yeah, go get it. If I want it, then I go get it. Look. Yeah.
All right. What's going on, everyone? I'm actually out here right now, downtown Tulsa, doing a quick tour, Black Wall Street. And I just wanted to get a nice little shot of this wall. This wall is amazing. This is one of the towns here in Oklahoma, Greenwood, where our people got all of their personal things and their businesses and everything burned down by a racist white supremacist mob. 1921. Not to mention there's so many other cities and towns that were victims of this, not a riot, but a massacre, because they wanted to put it in those terms, which riot is different from a massacre. But yeah, we're doing a tour today. I just want to get a quick little view, and this is how Black Wall Street used to look like. All right, so here I am, Black Wall Street. This is historic. It's not every day that you get to come over here, especially in this country. But I'm here right now, Black Wall Street. We're about to go on a tour. Let's go. here right now, Wall Street. We're about to do the tour. I'm trying to figure out where we're supposed to meet. I think we're supposed to be meeting around here somewhere. I know it's around here somewhere. So I'm gonna go around and see if I can find my people and see where they are. I'm not sure, but we're gonna find them. Yep, but this is Black Wall Street though. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. Right in the middle of downtown. Black Wall Street. See it? See it for yourself? Just imagine this place in the 1920s. Right? Just imagine this spot in the 1920s. This is the spot that was what black wealth was, the capital of black wealth. And on top of that, I bet you guys didn't know that Oklahoma in general was the oil capital of the world. This was one of the richest places in the world at one point. And where, guess what? Black folks was running it and in charge of it. Oil capital. Black Wall Street. That's a whole different story. We won't talk about that though. This is one of my favorite murals. Right here. James Baldwin. See it? What does it say? Can you guys read it? Can you read it? I know it's kind of like it may look kind of backwards, but I don't know if you can read it. Well, I'll read it to you. It says, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." By James Baldwin. Powerful, powerful message. All right, let's get into this tour.
Tribes do you think were in the United States?
Currently?
No, originally.
Oh.
Yeah, how many different tribes would you guess?
You say in general?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least 1,000? No?
It was like 100 and something, I want to say 111 the last time.
5?
5. Just 5?
Yeah, it's fine.
You should say 500.
Technically, it's 560.
Oh, okay.
So the reason I asked that question
That's
is
not
because
bad.
depending on where you come from, pretty much every state has its own number. If you find people from the East Coast, traditionally they're gonna say they'll have a higher number, especially if they're from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, mainly because they have a more accurate count. Once you get further into the West, you don't really hear much about it. Now, how many states are in the United States?
50.
You still got 50, right?
50.
All right, how many of them have Native American names?
A lot of them.
We're all like,
I think a lot of them.
27. So what was, I guess you would call it strategy back then is anytime a state became a state, the tribe that was pushed out of that particular state, that's what the state is named after. So like Illinois is a tribe, Ohio, you have the Dakotas, Connecticut, Delaware, all of those are tribes.
Wow.
So Oklahoma just means red people, but Oklahoma was not founded by red people. So what was happening back then, a lot of times it was a way to say that the native tribes were still in the area, even though the state may be named after them, but most of those people are being civilized tribes. It's only gonna pull up 5. Yeah.
Are those 5 that were federally recognized?
Yeah. So if you hear people talking about Native American tribes, specifically in this region of the U.S., they're talking about those 5. So even there's a movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. The Osage people are not considered civilized. They're not one of the 5 civilized tribes. So the Osage people come from Kansas. So if you look at this map, one of the reasons the 5 civilized tribes also got a lot of property is they had a ton of African American people inside of the tribes and also with their tribes. So the Trail of Tears takes place, but only with the 5 civilized tribes. So what the Trail of Tears was is basically it's the Indian Removal Act. These Native American tribes are forced out of their areas, which were Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and they were forced all the way here. That's where the Seminoles come from, and the Choctaws. So they took those people and they forced them into Indian territory. During the Trail of Tears, the federal government did send blankets and jackets, but they infected them with smallpox in order to kill more of them before they got here to Oklahoma. So once they got to Oklahoma, they were given plots of land, which is what you see here. Now, part of that reason is the 5 civilized tribes also fought during the Civil War, but they fought with the Confederacy. So they fought to keep their enslaved people as well. So that's why when I told you Oklahoma is mixed up, that's why, because a lot of African American people were also enslaved by the 5 civilized tribes. So you won't find old plantation homes in Oklahoma because we didn't have those. But there was slavery here. The difference was after we were granted freedom, we could not live on a Native American reservation anymore. So we would be given land we would call freedmen, and then the land we got is where we would build black towns. So Oklahoma had over 58 black towns back then, and that's why there were so many. But there was only one tribe of the 5 that did not actually enslave black people. They had free black people inside of their community, and it is the Seminole. So that is partially why the Seminole got the least amount of land, is they didn't practice slavery. The Cherokees were the largest slave owners of the 5 civilized tribes. So originally this entire portion belonged to the Cherokee until the other tribes got portions of it. So imagine being one of the 5 civilized tribes and you sign a treaty that says that Indian Territory or Oklahoma is going to be yours forever. So from 1831 to 1877, these tribes are being forced into Oklahoma. But when they get here, the Osage are here, the Kaw, the Pawnee, the Missouri, the Tonka. So when they get here, what happened was those tribes were sent here from the north. The difference was America paid those tribes very little, but they did pay them for their property, and then they had to purchase their land when they came to Oklahoma. But all of these tribes are under the impression that Oklahoma is going to be theirs for a lifetime, or well, forever is technically what it was. And so when they got here, the Osage are expecting an entire state. This is all they were able to purchase because they now have to split the land with the other tribes that have also come to Oklahoma. So again, being one of the 5 civilized tribes, it's there's a lot of benefits in Oklahoma. Number one, especially back then, a Native American person cannot be prosecuted by city or state government. Only the federal government or the tribe itself. So that's important to remember when it comes to how Greenwood gets burned. Also, the only people allowed to have a casino in Oklahoma are tribes. So there's no other people that can have a casino. Most of these tribes on this list have their own casinos.
So currently now, like if I went to a casino,
it's Native American owned.
Okay.
So it depends. So there's a difference between Native territory and Native reservation. So Tulsa's unique because it sits right in the middle of Cherokee, Muskogee, and Osage Nation. So where we are now is Cherokee Nation. The moment we go outside and cross to the other side of the highway, we're in Cherokee Nation. If you go just 5 miles north, you're now in Osage Nation. So the casinos we have in Tulsa are Hard Rock, that's Cherokee. If you go to the south side of Riverside, it's River Spirit, that's Creek. And then the Osage Casino sits on 36th Street North. So all of those are right basically on the borders of all of their different territories.
And so do those tribes receive money from the casinos? Like that's their
revenue.
Okay.
Yeah. And so reservations are built in a way where if you're not Native American, you can't go onto the reservation without someone that's Native. But you can register with multiple tribes. So for instance, my mom's side of the family, my grandmother is Creek, my grandfather is Cherokee. So my mom's registered as a Creek, I'm registered as a Cherokee. So I can't go to her reservation without her, she can't go to mine without me. So you do they do force you to pick which one, because you do get a payout every year. Depending on how well the casino does, they split the money with the tribe. So that's part of the reason why for a very, very long time, up until about 2 weeks ago, the Creek would not pay their black freedmen. So freedmen, again, are people who were formerly enslaved by the tribe, and the Creeks did not want to have to pay the black people on their roll because there were so many. They didn't want to have to split all of that revenue. So from 1971 up until about 2 weeks ago, they did not pay black freedmen. The other 4 tribes did still pay their freedmen. So that's how land in Oklahoma started to kind of change. So how long do you think that treaty lasted? Now it's supposed to last forever. How long do you think forever is in America?
A year, 2 weeks.
The next.
So technically, it lasted about 12 years. So from 1831 to 1877 is when these tribes are moving here and being settled into Oklahoma. And then in 1889, that's when you get the land run of Oklahoma. So what the land run was is basically the federal government said the eastern border, or this part of Oklahoma, is completely empty. And so they're going to do a land run on April 12th of 1889 at noon. And you can come in and you can take whatever property you want. Once you get to a property, you stake your flag there. That's now your land. Now, while that's taking place, anybody could participate. So they didn't say if you were black, if you were Irish, didn't matter. Anyone could participate in the land run. But what actually ends up happening is most of the bison that were in this particular area had already been killed. If you're a Googler, you can look it up. But they used to have a pile of bison 20, 30 feet high. But the federal government allowed a lot of unsanctioned police to come into this area and kill the bison. Part of the reason they did that was to force a lot of these tribes into western Oklahoma in order to say that this side is completely empty. This is the main life source for most of these tribes in this particular area, including the ones that were forced out of here to make room for the 5 civilized tribes and the rest, which are Navajo, Sioux, Blackfoot. A lot of those people were here first, before the 5 civilized tribes. So as they did that, the eastern border's empty. Now, did anybody here go to the University of Oklahoma? Okay, smart people. Now, if you ever watch a University of Oklahoma football game, anybody know their name?
Sooners.
They're the Sooners. What is a Sooner?
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna give it a guess. Was supposed to be the brand new people coming into this land trying to like discover something new. Like
That's the way it's worded in the books. What a
Okay.
Sooner is actually a person who crossed over into Oklahoma too soon. So the land run says it starts April 12th, 1889 at noon. Sooners came into Oklahoma early and took land that used to belong to Black and Native American people. So every time the University of Oklahoma scores a touchdown, they come out on a covered wagon. They're actually reenacting the stealing of land in Oklahoma. So if you just look up
so they're
Oklahoma
celebrating
Sooner,
this.
that's what it is. But that school used to be called the Oklahoma Indians, even though they did not have any Indians. The first time they had a Native American person was Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe was also someone that they didn't think could play Division I football, so they did give him a scholarship, and he ended up being the best running back in the country. But Jim Thorpe could not live on campus because Norman, Oklahoma was a sundown town until 1985. So a lot of black people who participated, 1985. So people who participated in sports there, yeah, they had to live just outside of Norman, Oklahoma. So they could go there to go to school, but they had to be gone before dark. That's actually where 9 to 5s come from. It was for people of color because you could not be in these areas after dark. So by 9 a.m. the sun is up, and if you're gone before 5 p.m. still got sunlight. So that's what was taking place in Oklahoma. So originally, again, there's 58 all-black towns in Oklahoma. The entire reason even a place like Greenwood was built is they were actually trying to make Oklahoma the very first Black and Native American state in the U.S. So that's why a lot of people started to move here. And the reason they did is, number one, Oklahoma was one of the younger states, but because Oklahoma did not have any of the history that the eastern border of Oklahoma of the U.S. actually had. So in 1906, a group of Native American tribes, as well as black town leaders, met in Muskogee, Oklahoma, which is Creek Nation, and they were trying to apply for statehood. So it's called the Sequoia Convention. If you ever go to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, you'll see the word Sequoia everywhere. Sequoia was, I believe he was Cherokee, but he was probably the one Native American leader that most tribes respect, regardless if he's from their tribe or not. But they wanted to name Oklahoma the state of Sequoia, not Oklahoma. So 1906, when they went to try to apply, Theodore Roosevelt came to Muskogee, Oklahoma to the Sequoia Convention, and he gave a speech about the danger in allowing an all-black state. And the main reason was he said Oklahoma was oil territory. So if black and native people controlled the oil, it would cripple America's economy. Now, the reason he says that is there are two wealthy black women at the time in Oklahoma. You have Sarah Rector, who was the youngest black millionaire in U.S. history. Back then, she was 12 years old. She was actually black at Creek. She got she got property from the Creek, and then that property ended up having oil on it, made her an instant millionaire. Then right after her, you have Ida Glenn, which is Glenpool, Oklahoma, if you ever go, that was Ida Glenn's land. So that's how we think of our names here. It was Ida Glenn's territory. There was a pool of oil there. So you said, oh, Glenpool, that's the name. So that's where Glenpool, Oklahoma comes from. But she was also Black and Creek. So that's how the oil boom started here. That's also what made Tulsa the oil capital of the world. So we were the oil capital for, I think, like 20 years. And then Houston took it after us. So once he did that, the very next year, a group of Klansmen applied for statehood, and Oklahoma becomes a state in 1907. Now keep in mind, the people who built the Greenwood district got here in 1892. Greenwood was officially recognized by the federal government in 1905, 2 years before statehood. So if you're ever driving through rural Oklahoma, you're probably lost. But if you're driving through there, there's a few things that you should know. We have a thing called stupid Oklahoma laws. If you ever get bored, just type that into Google. You'll get a good laugh out of it. And the reason being is the people who applied for statehood did not have enough laws to apply. So they literally made some up in order to be able to apply for statehood in 1907. So in towns or cities like Tulsa, Oklahoma City, these are not laws you ever have to think about. But if you're in a very, very small town and they want to issue you a ticket, or at minimum be able to get your license and ID to run your name, they can enforce these stupid Oklahoma laws because they are technically still laws. So for example, it is illegal to make ugly faces at a dog in public. You can do it at home, but you can't do it in public. It is illegal to collect rainwater in most of the small cities. It's illegal for women to do your own hair on a Sunday without a cosmetology license. It is illegal to eat a lollipop and walk backwards on the city sidewalk. It is illegal to open a bottle of Coca-Cola without an engineer present in public. It is illegal to take a bite out of someone else's hamburger in a restaurant. If the burger has cheese, it's completely legal. But if the burger has cheese, it's legal. It specifically says hamburger. So any other meal, not against the law. But if you were to bite her burger, technically, you're in trouble. And it is also illegal to capture a whale in the state of Oklahoma.
Are there wells?
So if you catch one, you're going to jail. But if you're familiar with Route 66, there's the Big Blue Whale in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was originally built as a joke to say they called a Big Blue Whale in Oklahoma because it's against the law here. But the people who made these laws were not from Oklahoma, so more than likely back then, without the benefit of Google Maps, probably didn't know that we were a landlocked state. So that's where the laws actually come from. So in 1907, Oklahoma becomes a state. Now what would be your guess of the very first law in Oklahoma?